This is when I usually always check. It's a little different mindset for here.
I agree. It's a good way to put it.
We're ready to go.
All right, welcome everybody. That is 5:15 p.m. here on Monday, June 2nd, 2025. I'd like to welcome you here with my fellow council members. I'll be conducting this meeting here and would like to welcome those online as well here. We are going to first begin as usual with a invocation by Councilmember Jake Hoyt, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by our own Officer Cody Sampson.
Our dear, kind, and gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful for the opportunity to gather here today as a council. We're so thankful for the city of Lindon and the home that it is to so many of our residents and those around us. We're thankful for our first responders and all that they do. We ask a special blessing upon them, that they'll be protected, that they'll be safe. We ask, as summer begins and as our pool opens and as so many of our recreation activities begin, we ask a blessing upon the participants and upon our staff as well, that they will be safe, especially over at the pool, that our lifeguards will be vigilant, that they'll be smart as they make decisions that can have life or death consequences. We're so thankful for those who volunteer, who serve, who do what they do for this wonderful city, so that it can continue to be the home that it is to so many. We say these things, Father, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so very much. You know, our PD did an amazing, amazing job, and Parks and Rec as well with our memorial program. We are so grateful to them. All they do in the community, the goodwill they spread, and the extra above and beyond, you know, getting chairs and things set up, and the cemetery looked absolutely beautiful, and the program was wonderful, so thank you. We will now have our call to order, and I will first acknowledge that we have two council members that are excused this evening due to being out of town, Councilmember Hooley and Councilmember Stewart. So I'll start here on my right.
Jake Hoyt, present.
Van Broderick, present.
Carolyn Lundberg, present.
Lincoln Jacobs, present.
All right, very good. We do have a quorum, so we can proceed. Thank you so much. We will now move on to item number 2. This is our presentations and announcements, and we have some special employee recognition. So we will first turn this over to our staff here, but we have some amazing PD, as I mentioned, and we want to recognize our Derek Clegg as well as John Ogden for our IT system. So I'll turn this over to Mr. Cowie to go in order.
We'll just, I know we're a small group, but we're going to make you guys come up front here.
Come on, make it official.
Come on, and you have to do a handstand or a cartwheel, so, right? Yeah. I know Tanya had sent out, come on over here. You're good. Come stand by us. So Tanya sent out these to all the employees, but I want to just read some of the comments that were submitted. This is about John Ogden, and let's see here. So Lindon may be a small town, but we have some big talent for this city. I'm nominating John Ogden for employee recognition. To say we are lucky to have John as our own IT is an understatement, and recently John assisted with the CGIS, BCI, and FBI IT audit. That was a lot of acronyms right there. So for Lindon City, unless you work for the police department or the clerk's office in the court or the city attorney's office, you just don't understand how crucial it is to be in compliance with BCI and the FBI. It goes on to say that if you have a request, it's just a quick text or an email, and John usually says, give me a minute, and then seconds later he has it fixed. mentions that he's an invaluable asset with all of our IT needs. So awesome. Thank you, John. And for Detective Clegg, the comment that was submitted: recently investigated a burglary case in Lindon. He located suspects, obtained confessions, recovered property, and solved several cases for other agencies that were associated with this case. This case is one example of his continuous efforts in going above and beyond. Other investigators typically focus on their case and move on when it's done. Detective Clegg digs in, and then talked about how he had a great relationship with a family that struggled with some suicide issues, and he's working right now with the Forest Service and other agencies to try to get a sign up at Dry Canyon, where we've had some recurring suicides up in that parking lot area. So awesome. Thank you. And we've these guys asked for an Amazon gift card, and so we're going to give one of those to each of you, $50 each. Thank you very much. So glad that you're
Wonderful.
here.
Thank you so very much. We so appreciate you.
So, John, I spent my career in IT development, right? Which means that all family and friends say, hey, Lincoln, can you come and fix this? And I hate that because you never know what's coming, right? And just as was said, I mean, the monitors are thanks to you. Your job is impossible to be successful at. And for the amount of success that you have, very, very grateful. I appreciate what you do. I get it. Thank you for all of your work. And officers, I was the idiot that volunteered last year to be tased. And the reason I did that was because I want to feel a little bit of what I volunteered to be on the list for the random drug testing too, and so I went through that, just curious, what's that like for an employee that's busy and got something to do, and then says, oh, hey, you've got 3 hours that you have to get this done. So I did that. I would do that again. That tase thing, I can't believe you guys do that. You couldn't pay me enough to do that again. Thank you. And that's teeny tiny compared to everything that you do. The dunk tank I'm doing in a second. Absolutely. Are you going to do that at summer kickoff?
Yeah, Wednesday.
No, but that's going to be at the summer kickoff. And so you're saying, Lincoln, I should volunteer for that? I think so. You, I don't know if you remember, but I'm pretty sure it was you that pulled me over years and years ago. This is where
confessions here.
I had recently lost my wife, and I was in deep emotional distress. COVID had just hit. It was a bad time, and I turned this corner, and I was doing 40 in the 25. Officer Werkel pulled me over, and he said, so you're saying you were distracted? I started to cry. I've never done that in my life. And he says, so you were distracted? I said, yes. And he said, slow down, right? He recognized what I was going through in the moment. I cannot, express enough appreciation for everything that you guys do, the empathy that you show in 1 minute, and the pull the taser or gun the next minute. Your job is impossible, in my opinion. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're the best. Thank you. All right, thank you. We were all chatting, and then we have a bunch of stuff here for you, John. We'll hit you up. Okay? All right. All right, we'll move on now to item number 3. This is our open session for public comment. If there are any items not listed on tonight's agenda, this would be the time to come forward and address them with the council. All right, seeing no one hopping up from their chairs, we'll move on to item number 4, our council reports. And if anyone wants to go to bat on that first,
I'm happy to start. We started that for present, so. As Mayor mentioned, Memorial Day program was great. Appreciate that very much. It's always important for us to stop and just think and consider the sacrifices that many have made, and our police department did a great job. Everyone did a great job. Mayor, you did a great job. It is summertime, which means Parks and Rec is getting crazy. The summer kickoff is Wednesday from 1 to 3, foam machine. I did that for the first time last year. That was pretty fun. This year I get to have my grandkids. I'm very, very excited to be doing the everything with the foam machine. And yes, I'll volunteer for the dunk tank if that opportunity presents itself. Treats, crafts, water games. We're very excited for the summer kickoff, and we always love that. Movies in the Park starts. I saw 4 throughout the year. Starts the first one June 13, The Wild Robot. Summer band concerts start in August. Heath, I hate to put you on the spot, but that one was new to me. What are summer band concerts?
I don't know if I can talk loud enough, so I better just. We have a great resident in town who has been doing this a long time, and she formulates bands for about 5 weekends, Friday or Saturday, and we have a summer concert series down here in the main city park. So it'll be concerts every Saturday in August, and then I think there's a couple of Fridays and one in September, so it should be fun. Awesome. Hot August nights, kind of a deal.
Okay, I'm gonna add it to my list of things to attend. And then the Hollow Park pickleball courts are gonna be offline for a few weeks. They're getting resurfaced. Badly needed resurfacing is now getting done.
When is that gonna start?
And the text that I got said June 13th, but Sam is saying several weeks. That's all.
All right, thank you so much.
I keep providing updates on 2000 West. The paving's been going on today. It will continue in the next few days. The intersection at 200 North and 2000 West is open. It's paved and open, and I hope the businesses in that area are appreciating that. I drove by there today, and it was being well used. So good to see that work coming to a close. The planter boxes on Center Street, hopefully you've paid attention and seen those. The plants are in there now. They look great, and we'll see how much they grow up, but a colorful addition to our city for the entryway. The Keeneland detention pond work is ongoing. A lot of things that we're doing there to try to help control stormwater in the city. I walked that today with Juan, going over all of the various aspects of it. That's proceeding well. We anticipate that will increase the capacity by 1.5 times what the current capacity is, so that hopefully we control our water as we need to. And then also the main ditch has had some piping that's started and a little bit of that done. And we'll be working on that throughout the summer in the places that we're going to do it. So that'll be a good help as well. That's it.
Spent this morning at the pool. Heath, our swim team, our swim lessons all started today. It looked very busy. One of those wonderful things that we provide to the city. It doesn't always pencil, but it's really cool to go over there and see the amount of people that are sending their kids there to learn how to swim. It's a great service to the community. Lindon Days, we continue to look for sponsors. Please keep that in mind as you talk to Lindon businesses or other businesses within the community. And then I don't have any updates from police, so that's all I have.
Thank you so much. I sent to you guys a few days ago. It was really quite surprising. And speaking of the pool, I know it doesn't pencil, you mentioned. Let me just look at this post here on the Facebook page. It now has had wait, hang on, get to the right one. 185,000 views.
That's wild.
And it has nearly 100 comments, and it's people all over the state saying, "Oh, let's get our kids. Let's go. This pool's awesome. Why don't we have one of this?" So for some reason it went viral, and people were just like, "This is the best pool ever. Let's go this summer." So hopefully we always have good.
Maybe that'll even out what we lose from the people going back to Pleasant Grove.
I'm not losing anything out of that.
Yeah, no. So anyway, our pool is, I think it's a tourism attraction, essentially, for Lindon. It kind of puts us on the map, and kudos to Alan for that article that got national recognition. So anyway, thank you for all the hard work. I know it's a stressful time of year to get that up and going and staffed and everything. Anyway, we'll move forward then to our administrator's report now. This is item number 5 on the agenda.
Just as an FYI, today was the opening day for candidate filings for the mayor and city council positions, the 2 positions that are open. We've had Van, Jake, and Mayor Lundberg have all filed, and then Desiree Green, Desiree, I think, Green. So if you don't know her, she ran for office twice before.
Oh, twice.
I think it's been twice, so, yeah. Yeah, I remember once she was here in this room at a Meet the Candidates night, and another time she was over in the community center a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I think it's been twice.
I was just thinking it was the once against me and Van 8 years ago, but
Anyway, I'll have to research that, but I think
Maybe
it's
it
been
was
twice. So, yeah, and we have the rest of the week till Friday at 5 to see those come in. So just as a reminder, the primary election, if we need that, it would be Tuesday, August 12th, and that's only needed if there's more than 2 candidates for each position. So it would be 5 or more city council candidates or 3 or more mayoral candidates.
And one quick question about clarification for the council, I'm sorry, the new school board seat, that will be managed by the county, I'm
Yes.
assuming, so the city would not issue a ballot, but residents would receive a ballot because there will likely be,
Yes.
from what we've heard.
Yeah,
a
so
runoff
anybody
for that.
filing for that goes through the county, yeah.
Okay.
So, Adam, that was 3 or more on the mayor, 5 or more on the city council. So if there's 3 or more on the mayor and there's, the current 3 on the council, does it trigger a primary across
does.
the board?
It's a primary just for that seat,
Oh, just for that seat?
yeah.
Just to narrow the
Right,
number of
right.
candidates for the final November ballot.
Go from, if you had 3, then you have to have a primary, and you'd have to just narrow it to 2, so. Apparently, we can't decide between 3 people.
in a
So-
scenario where there hadn't been a third candidate apply for the city council position, would we have still had to have paid for election fees because of the school race, or not necessarily?
No, so
Okay.
my understanding is that fee that we pay the county is just to administer our municipal elections. So the school board election, if that requires a primary, which it likely will, that wouldn't be on our cost, so.
Okay.
Adam,
go ahead.
Adam, I hope it was okay. I wanted us to maybe tandem report on the interlocal meeting today, just give everyone an
Yeah.
update, if that's okay. I know.
Yeah, so we had a meeting with the other 4 entities, or the other 3 entities, Vineyard, PG, and Orem. And we've been meeting about every 2 weeks on the school district committee that we have through this interlocal agreement. And we've been looking at some potential changes that would help the South District, the Timpanogos area, potentially get some more funding when all of the assets are divvied up. And it's not a huge amount in the grand scheme of things. Today we had Jason Sundberg. He's the business administrator with Alpine School District, and reminded us that Alpine School District's budget is $900 million. And we were talking about a difference of $4 or $5 million in this legislative
Annual
change.
budget?
An annual
900
budget.
million?
To be divided
So,
by the
yeah, that
3
will be
districts.
split, split between the 3 districts. So, but 4 or 5 million for the new district could be a big chunk of change. And so, there's some legislative changes that potentially could be made that could help benefit our South District. So the committee has been receiving proposals from lobbyist groups that we would felt was necessary for some of these legislative issues to get traction. And so next week we are interviewing 2 of those firms, and then we would split the cost of that between the 4 entities. Right now, the way our agreement reads is the costs are just split evenly 4 ways. The fees on this, we have an estimate of what they've provided in their bids. But over a year, we would probably be, our share for that lobbyist probably be in the $30,000 to $32,000 range.
And one of the caveats right now is the previous code stated that the new boards would reimburse cities for any startup initial efforts, and that was for some reason struck, and we're not sure why. I can't imagine the other districts wanted that struck. Yeah. So if we do hire a lobbyist, the thought would be the cities would have to probably bear the brunt of that cost, and the new boards would if they wanted to continue to engage those lobbyists, let's say into the session, they're elected and the next session starts, they could continue. But we do not have a guarantee of being reimbursed for helping getting the ball rolling on that. So unless they chose to.
Would that be the fee split evenly 4 ways?
Yeah, that would be our share. And so
Yeah, between the four
almost
cities.
all of the lobbyist fees that we got, they're
And
running
that was
about
one of the points that,
90,000 a year.
that was one of the points that we were potentially wanting to have lobbied was, why was that struck from the code? Because if there's future district splits, it seems to make sense that school districts would reimburse that cost since it's for their benefit potentially. And there's just this little interim period that cities kind of help with stabilizing things or managing things or getting a few things going to get the ball rolling for the new boards. So we'll see.
So in anticipation right now, we'll interview those two. And I think we had 5 proposals. So we've selected the top 2 as a group. We're going to interview those groups next week, and then we'll bring this back to the council as an action item in an upcoming meeting to see if you want to participate financially on that. And really, I think as we talked more about it, we feel like there was a lot of struggles with us trying to get the listening ear of some of our legislators, and this may be an avenue to help our taxpayers get $4 to $5 million for $100,000. So.
But to Van's question, I think, split 3 ways, we don't get as much voting as like Orem. We don't get as much. There's more population over in Orem.
We understand that.
Right now, our
just-
interlocal,
right
though,
now
we
the
chose to
interlocal-
be on equal footing. So the way we're structured right now is, Orem was not going to be a dominator or, have the monopoly. So it has to be Orem plus one other city, or all 3 cities could overturn something Orem wants, since they were the largest. So we decided to try to be on more equal footing, and therefore that's why we would potentially split costs. a
So
little more
how
equally.
so we have our interlocal, that's the 4 cities that are going to represent this new Timpanogos, is that what we're calling it, Timpanogos district? When there's an issue that's relative to the whole existing Alpine School District, we're not deciding, we're having to coordinate with these other interlocals? Is that how the others are formed as well? And then are you meeting with them as well, or just us?
It's just us. And so,
Alpine School District is essentially the mediator currently and disseminating information about the financials and the assets and trying to help with that. So we're,
yeah.
So
the new
usually
boards
it's us
may directly
Working with Alpine
negotiate.
School District.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it was, and you may have seen this in the paper, I don't know if we sent this out or talked about it. Rob Smith, he's the former business administrator. I think most of you have met or know him. He's been appointed as the new superintendent to fill,
Shane Farnsworth?
thank you, Shane's vacancy. And that starts July 1st, I believe. And so Rob came to our meeting a couple weeks ago with this interlocal group, and then Jason Sundberg, the current business administrator, has come today and also a couple weeks ago with Shane. And so that's been helpful to have them there, have a representative from the school district there to help answer questions. And so, the new boards will, after they're elected in November, they take office. I think it's the state code now changed where they'll take office in December and get sworn in a little bit earlier. And then their hope is to have, they'll be working with Alpine School District to advertise for a superintendent and then a business administrator and have those positions on board by the end of January. So it's pretty quick, but they'll have their hands full as new board members. So.
And one of the things that was brought up today was, rather than waiting for the new board to engage with lobbyists, by the time they got around, they'll probably have a lot on their plate, a lot on their mind. And the session, you need to have a bill written by December typically to start getting the ball rolling. So that's where we would try to advocate for our area in that way. So we'll come back to you with the lobby.
That may be
Select.
our next meeting, which I think you'll be out of town.
I will
and
be.
so, but
Cole
we'll,
will hopefully be able to attend with
Yeah.
Adam for that.
That's still in June? So Pro Tem Mayor Van?
Yep. he's ready to go.
So, speaking of which, so the mayor's gone and Steve is gone at the next meeting. Everybody else planning to be here on the 16th? 3 of you guys? Okay. All right. Sorry, I missed our last meeting. The proposed budget was presented, and I was watching on YouTube, and I came down with the flu that day, and so you didn't want me here.
So inexcusable, Adam, that you would get sick. What
So I did want to make note. It was included. These numbers were included in the proposal, but it got missed as far as bringing it up just to make sure you're aware of it. We've talked before about the ORMS, fire and EMS proposals to change the methodology on how that's calculated. And we've met with them several times over the last few months. And the information they're providing, we're at a point of agreement that their request is reasonable. And so what we included in the budget, that is more expensive for Lindon, but we feel like it's fair and equitable, the methodology that they're using. And I've indicated to you that we have this current contract, and the methodology that current contract runs through 2028. The methodology that uses, the difference is $192,000 is what they're requesting for this year. Versus the old methodology that we'd use. So we included that in the proposed budget, so the numbers that you guys saw in that meeting a couple weeks ago included that $192,000. And I just want to bring that to your attention.
So clarification.
Okay.
Just to make sure I understand, more than it was in the agreement, but not more than what we have already seen, because you included
Correct.
that inflated amount.
So the amount was in the budget
past.
numbers that you saw 2 weeks ago, but I don't think it got brought up. But, okay. And so that's been a recent thing, just in that last budget change that we included. We wanted to see what does it do to the overall numbers, and I had mentioned and asked Kristen to catch that, but I think she just forgot that in the moment. So
Thanks for all your time in working with others to understand what the value of that actually is and coming to peace with them. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that may have been my own struggle. And so I've mentioned to you, and I'll say it on the record, we have a contract, and it says that, we would calculate the fee in a certain way, but after we looked at their numbers, I'm in agreement that they are subsidizing us, and I don't think that's fair. And so they do include in their request, they've given us a heads up that in fiscal year 2028, so in 2 more fiscal years, they would like to increase the number of firefighters again at our fire station. And we'll need a lot more conversation to show why that's needed. So, because that's another couple $100,000 to add 1 more firefighter per shift. So we'll talk more about that in the coming years, but if tonight you're not making a decision on that, I just want to make sure that you're aware of that before our final budget meeting in 2 weeks. So if you have questions, call me and we can go through the numbers and kind of show you how we came up with everything. So let's see. I think that is it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Council, we are now on to item number 6. This is the approval of the minutes from our meeting May 19th, 2025. If you've had a moment to review.
I've reviewed those and I'm comfortable with making a motion to approve the city council minutes of May 19th, 2025.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. Any further discussion? All right, with the motion, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you. All right, we are now on item number 7, our consent agenda. These are items that are somewhat general housekeeping, can be approved in a single motion, but we just have one this evening from Mountain Land Association of Governments. Each year they provide meals to our senior center, and this is the contract for the next fiscal year of the amount they would like us to participate.
This is less than prior years, and Heath has a meeting tomorrow with the county representatives that oversee this and ask some questions, but Our understanding, they've decreased the amount of funding, financial support that comes through the county, through the federal resources across the board for all of the entities. And so we don't know exactly why, other than maybe some federal changes that we've heard about in the news is what we're assuming. So, but he's going to check with them tomorrow. So we're recommending to have you go ahead and approve this, and we'll have the mayor sign it, and then it's ready to submit if we're comfortable with their responses
Or
tomorrow.
did I catch you were surprised it's less than you expected?
It's substantially less.
It's due to private donations. They've been actively getting some private. The federal has not increased, from what I understood.
Okay. This would be
Maybe.
tens of thousands of dollars across the county, so maybe that is all private? I don't know.
Not all of it, but they've been
Okay.
actively getting donations from
Okay.
different things. So the federal actually decreased recently, or it's anticipated to decrease.
Anything
All
else
right.
that you want to add? No? Okay.
All right, council, if you see the motion there before you, if you have no further questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I will do that. I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Lincoln Jacobs. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. That is unanimous and it passes. All right, we're now moving on to item number 8. This is our public hearing for a cemetery ordinance update.
I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have so moved for the public hearing. Councilmember Hoyt on the motion and Councilmember Broderick on the second. All in favor to open the public hearing?
Aye.
All right, we are now in the public hearing, and I'll turn it over to staff.
So this is a change. Brian's been working with Juan and Denise to craft these changes in this ordinance. This updates in the ordinance will allow a single urn to be buried above a casket within an existing burial lot. So essentially allow 2 burials to occur within the same plot or burial area. Burying the urns is a pretty simple process and not as much excavation, obviously. And this will be a benefit where people won't have to pay as much. The burial fees for urns are significantly different, and so seems like a win for our residents. And,
Very reasonable.
and so it also adds capacity technically to our cemetery, which is a great thing. So, any questions on this?
A great change to make. A lot of cemeteries nationwide are looking to be a little more economical in the space, and it
agree.
certainly helps families with affordability as well.
How did this come up, I guess, is my only question. Is it
I
something other
understand they had
cities-
some inquiries.
Yeah, right now, you can bury 3 urns or a couple of urns together, and you can bury 2 infants on the same lot, but you can't bury, a casket with anything else under the current language of our code. And we started looking at that and going, we really could do this real easy. And so that's why we just had somebody who wanted to place an urn with a spouse that had already predeceased, is what I understand happened. So.
I love when we find these common sense changes to the ordinances, we bring them forth, and I'm very supportive.
So I read it and then I did some Googling because that's the truth of everything, right? Especially with AI integrated now. But I was just curious. We say 1 urn with 1 casket, 4 urns if there's not a casket. Did we have any reason to not be okay with 4 urns over a casket?
This is my. You want to take a shot at this, Brian? Or this is my guess is because you end up having to add additional headstones over those spaces. So at some point you have headstone over the urn.
Right.
I guess that would be okay, but that's my only assumption. Is that
So further on, when we can go 4 urns only, then it does address the headstone and that.
Right.
And not that I'm pushing for this. It was just very curious. What's the data behind this? And not that I need any.
Question
I'm just
for
curious if there was something in there.
sexton.
Yeah. Seemed like there was a lot of language that says whatever the sexton decides is appropriate, which that doesn't bother me either. Just kind of curious.
Yeah, we didn't have any discussions about that. It was more of, hey, we've got the situation, we just don't allow urns
Right.
with caskets, period. And they, what Denise and Juan were telling me is they felt that one was appropriate. And so, but no, I did not push them as to, should we do 2, 3? Didn't have that discussion, I'm afraid.
I
Well,
think-
perhaps it could be revisited as this is,
Yeah,
we start a
if there's
new
more interest.
tradition. Yeah.
I think it's great.
Urn be placed in a casket. So you have one,
Right.
another family member dies, and then,
I don't know why not.
I know it happens in other places, because it's happened in my wife's family.
So they,
At the same time, yeah, I don't,
Were they deceased at the,
we
you're
don't-
not exhuming
No,
one
you had
casket?
an urn, another person died, and they were.
Oh,
buried.
they
I
kept
see
an
what
And
you're
then
urn.
they put the urn inside the
I see.
casket. It was a son going in with the mother.
yeah,
Oh.
it would just have to be marked. They have to be a headstone with that information of who's buried there. But, yeah, I don't know why not. That's
Great.
another great question. I'll ask.
Department.
Just to make it move, go slower. When you say it has to be marked, what if they don't want it marked?
Public records do require us, the state law requires that,
State law mandates that.
yeah.
Because sometimes people can have some interesting requests.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the name and dates is required, and we do have in our code, it's not in this section, but there's an indigent, so those indigent policy that says we can actually pay for that with some other funds. In the last few Christmas seasons, we've had people donate to that. We've advertised it in our newsletter, and so there's a few $100s that can go towards people if they need help on the costs of their headstone. And it doesn't have to be much. We've had a few that they've never put them in, and the city finally just goes and buys a marker that's just a small, that size, that has the name and the birth and death dates. And so,
Interesting.
yeah.
All right, this is a public hearing, so we will turn this over to our public here if there's any questions or comments regarding this ordinance this evening.
I'll ask a question.
Sure, state your name for the record. We appreciate you being here again.
I'm Harlow Clark, and the question is, how long does the city have to, how long does someone have to get a gravestone on there? Because my wife's, we didn't get a gravestone for my wife for a couple of years, and no one told us, so it's a very interesting point for me.
so after someone is interned, is your question, how long before from when they're interned to when the headstone should be placed?
Yes, how long do you, can you wait?
I will look that up here in a
Yeah,
second.
because I know
so.
we do have a time frame. I don't remember what it is.
It might, I don't know if it varies from city or cemetery to cemetery, or is she interred in the Lindon
No,
Cemetery?
she's in Pleasant Grove, but we finally got one. Other members of the family pitched in and got her headstone here. So.
As I recall, the code said 90 days because one of our residents reached out to me because she got a letter after her husband died. And I know with my wife's passing, it took me a while before I was emotionally ready to take that next step, and it was more than 90 days.
Yeah,
But-
it does say 90 days. So
But-
within
That
90
may be
days
one to look at,
after.
because monument companies can take longer than that at times when you hit them at just peak seasons.
But perhaps our staff are not really hard, in
They're-
enforcing
I hope
it.
They send reminders, but it may be years before we're pushing hard. so.
I did help draft the letter, and on that one, it was 5 years.
Yeah.
We were at the 5-year mark.
For the 5-year mark.
Well, that's not what they were
So-
supposed to do, but yes, reminding
Reminding.
strongly.
And we started sending letters from the attorney. And Denise would send a lot of reminders before.
So I would be one, our staff sent this out at 90 days to this resident. And I would be one to say, we can soften that. But I'm not willing to change the ordinance. It matched the same as Orem. And Orem never sent me a letter, and it was at least 6 months before I did. But we could be as soft as we wanted to. Well, being soft and not send it on the 90th day wouldn't bother me a bit.
We can be compassionate.
Yeah, it's a journey.
Yes. Well, that's a great suggestion for a future consideration. Obviously, we could not make that change here legislatively at this time. Thank you for that public comment.
Seeing the public comment has been received, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, council, any further discussion or questions?
I don't think so. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-6-0 as presented.
Second.
All right, so moved by the same council members. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and am I understanding that there is a little bit of direction for staff to investigate?
Yeah, I'll check with
Headstone.
Juan on,
And then also potentially urn and casket
in the
with
casket, if there's
deceased
more
and
urns
more than
allowed.
one urn buried above the casket.
Yep.
Okay, those 3 items. Great. All right, we are now on item number 9. We are going to go into a closed session to discuss the potential purchase or sale of real property and pending or possible litigation per Utah Code 52-4-205. So thank you all that have been here in attendance. And we'll go ahead and make that roll call motion here to go into the closed session. We'll just take a moment here.
Lincoln, you're up to make the motion.
Be turned off and
Nope.
Go ahead and make the motion.
I move to enter a closed session.
For what purpose?
Oh.
Make that part of the motion?
For the discussion of potential purchase or sale of real property and pending or possible litigation per Utah Code 524-4-205 1E and 52-4-205 1C. This session is closed to the general public.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Jacobs, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. Let's do the roll call.
Lincoln Jacobs, aye.